Hi guys, happy Monday. I hope you all had a day off to relax and maybe get to do lots of sewing. I certainly did. I had a very nice lazy weekend, as you saw in my post that I did the other day about what I was doing out at my house. I was working on this project with this massive amounts of goofy fabrics that I pulled. There's such a crazy variety of things, from these very cool little African fabrics that I got from Jackie Kunkel's Canton Village Quilt Works that she shared with me. They're fabulous. And I had some old antique fabric that I used and cut up, and it really is old. It's not just vintage. But I did have some really cute vintage fabrics in there too, like this one and this little roses one. Sometimes at Houston I can find these little scraps of things that they sell off, and I found this one place that they were really cheap. And then I found this crazy fabric. I had this on the blog. I thought, man, it's not the prettiest fabric, but boy, it was just the thing that made the whole thing work. So never discount an ugly fabric, because it's not necessarily ugly. It just needs the right home. So these were all the little cutoffs that I had from a project I was working on. I mean, and it's not just a little pile. Check this out. It's this big of a pile. See all that? And they're all these little triangles. They're probably 1.5 by 3 inches, and I didn't have the heart to throw them away. So I was like, that's probably another project in the works there. Like, what am I going to do with those? So I started digging through my scrap bin and finding any big pieces that I had, and cut them into little slivers, and then I just started sewing them into, I don't know, these are about like 11.5 inches long, just sort of flip-flopping and using up, this could take me a lifetime to probably sew these all together. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them, but I don't know if I'll put them all together and sew it that way, or maybe I'll do like I did in my book, and actually the quilt is going to be at QuiltCon. Where's my book? Well, it's called Making Me Crazy. If you have my book, you can look it up in there, where I made fabric and then I put a solid piece of gray afterwards so that there's a space in between them, and just did rows and rows of them. Actually, I just love the quilt. It's kind of a simple layout, but with all the made fabric, or even like this sort of a look, I think it'll be really interesting and different to see them all together. So I have a few strips made. I think these are kind of cool so far. I don't know, I'm just kind of finding any light fabrics that I have in my scrap bin that I can cut into, well, these are probably about 2 inches by 4 inch pieces. So I just sew them all together and then trim it down afterwards. And they're kind of fun, and they're a little bit addicting. The colors are a little weird so far, so maybe it'll morph into something else. Or I'll change my mind, or I'll decide there should be a different color. But it's kind of fun to see what happens depending on how busy the print is that I'm using. And again, it's just purely play, just using up what I have, because I'm insane and I can't throw anything away. So that's what I'm doing today, and probably for the next couple days. I don't want to have to get into a big project before I leave for QuiltCon. It's going to be great fun on the QuiltCon. We have probably 20 members from our New York City Metro Mod Guild that are going, which I'm really excited about. It'll be great fun to have them all together. A lot of people are taking classes. A lot of people are just going just to be there. And if you guys are going, stop by and come by the Quilt Alliance booth over the course of the weekend. They are doing, I posted about this yesterday, 3-minute videos. You sign up for a slot where you can talk about your quilt. So you can have that little bit, a few minutes recording in history of a little bit of information on your quilts. And the reason that I like some of the projects that we're doing in the Quilt Alliance is really just the documenting and preserving of these stories. I think is really important, not just for quilters in general, but think of how important quilting is to women's history over the past hundreds of years. And I can tell you that, you know, my grandmother heavily influenced, you know, the way that I work in quilting, and I just wish that I would have been more interested when I was young to ask her more questions about the quilt making that she did, because I wish I had more stories from her about how she learned or why she did the way she did or what she was thinking. And you know, we have that as an opportunity now to capture some of those stories. All of us quilt makers, every quilt we make, we have a story behind them, and I just think it's a great thing to save those stories. And which also leads to putting a label on the back of your quilts. It's the most important thing that you can do, because you know most of these quilts are going to outlive most of us. So put your name and your address, a title, why you made the quilt. Always label your quilts. You know, it's going to give historians a place to start one day when they're looking at all of our quilts. So, and besides that, at QuiltCon, the Quilt Alliance is also doing a scavenger hunt. You can go on the Quilt Alliance blog. I'll put the link up there again, and there are some things that you can find or run around and doing while you're at QuiltCon, and there'll be prizes and lots of interesting things. But stop by the booth. It'll be great fun to see everybody and say hi. And I think we have some of our past auction quilts will be hanging up. The quilt that I made from the blocks from the Quilters Take Manhattan event here last fall is going to be hanging there. Come by and see it. It looks really great. I'm very proud of it. And 3 p.m. on Thursday, I'm also having a book signing, so that'll be fun. Come by. If you've already bought the book, bring it by. I'll sign it. If not, buy one and I'll sign it. And find me. If you find me, ask me about my Bumblebee and Basics project. I'm about to put the new website up soon. I have some other new projects coming up that we'll be collecting quilts for. I'm trying to do some more paperwork to get everything in line for that project. So come by and find me, because I'll have lots of buttons and I'll be happy to give you one. So come say hi, and I hope to see you in Austin. All right? I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.